It's a very difficult truth to face when you realize your life could have been completely different if you would have done some things a little differently. That's how I've been feeling anyways, and if you clicked on this video, I'm assuming you felt a similar way. The problem is, who do you blame? What do you blame? I can make myself feel better by saying it's not my fault, it's health problems, it's circumstances, it's the economy, it's whatever it might be. But if I rely on that mentality, nothing changes. Or I could take a look in the mirror and try to face what I've been avoiding. That although things might be difficult and the road isn't always easy, that doesn't mean there aren't tangible reasons that explain exactly why I feel as stuck as I do. So that's what this video is going to mostly be about. I am not an expert to tell you about how to be super rich and famous and successful and all of those things. I'm not there yet. But what I can certainly tell you is if you're at a crossroads, if you're at a place where you feel like you don't really know where to go and you definitely feel lost, I can tell you where those traps are. If you're someone in your 20s and your 30s and you're trying to start over, let me help guide you through some of the mistakes that I've made that have definitely taken me in the wrong direction. We only get one life to live here, and we're in our 30s, right? And it feels like maybe we're running out of time. We're running out of youth. We're middle-aged now. It's easy to start comparing ourselves to others who might have accomplished more, or to where society says that we should be by now. But remember this, it's so much better to start feeling this feeling of needing to start over now, of feeling like we need to make changes now than to kick the can down the road and wait even longer until it actually might be too late. So I would say if you clicked on this video, I would say that's a reason to celebrate. I would say that's a reason to feel proud of yourself, because at least you're in the process of trying. But I think in order to do that, we have to be honest with ourselves and see if there's changes that we can make. And that's what this video is going to be about. Let's get into it. And here's what I think the first problem is. Your story is keeping you stuck. Now, that's something I'm not just coming up with. That's something I can relate to. That's something I know that I've been doing myself. When you try to convince yourself that the reason that your life is where it is right now is due to a certain set of situations and circumstances, your ego gets involved and your brain starts looking for evidence that you are in that situation for reasons that aren't your fault. For me, I can personally say I've dealt with really difficult mental health problems. You know, not just feeling blue because of something difficult, but stuff that runs in my family, stuff that's been really difficult to deal with. And I've been battling between this conflict of like, oh, it'll eventually get better and then I'll get back on track, / well, it's not my fault that I'm not there yet because I didn't choose to have this condition. I didn't choose to have these struggles. I was doing way better in my life before I had them. But I started to realize that what that really is it's a victim mentality. It's saying that there's nothing you can do about it. Even if you don't put it to yourself that way, that's essentially what you're admitting, right? You're saying that I am where I am due to circumstances outside of my control, which implies that you don't have the control to change those circumstances. And even if it's true, even if you're dealing with things that are very complicated, that are very difficult, that are very challenging, telling yourself that you can't overcome them, you might as well give up. There's no path ahead of you then. We have to believe that there's things that we can do, there's things that we can change, that gives us more control, that puts us back in the driver's seat so we can figure out where it is exactly that we're going. And that doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. It just has to mean that you have to choose who you're going to be. Are you someone who's powerless or are you someone who's powerful? So either you acknowledge that you are someone capable of doing virtually anything you set your mind to, or at the very least, making baby steps and making progress from where you are to where you want to be, then you have to sort of take a little more accountability and say that, hey, life is difficult. Not everything is your fault, but it is our responsibility to try to make things better. And I actually think that's a very empowering message, to notice that you have the power within you to make the changes that you want to make. And so I think that's something that I'm working on for sure, is instead of telling myself a story with a victim narrative, I'm going to try to tell myself a story of resilience. Tell a story of someone who's never given up. Tell a story who's, no matter how many times I got knocked down, I always got back up. So again, the story you tell yourself matters, and we need to shift that from being one where you don't feel like you have any power to one where you regain that power. The second issue I've found, both in my life, through the research I've done, through the friends that I've talked to who are around a similar age, is that we're kind of waiting for the spark. We're waiting for the moment to hit us where that motivation kicks in and that inspiration is there. But my biggest advice here is try not to go too long in your life until you realize that that moment never comes. And the scarier part is that even when you feel it, even when you do feel that euphoric feeling of motivation and inspiration, it doesn't last very long at all. And it's not something that you can reliably tap into for the energy you need, for the self-discipline you need to do the things that you need to do. It's just a feeling, and feelings fade, unfortunately. If you're waiting for things to be easy, they're always going to be hard. And you're just setting yourself up for failure and kicking the can down the road unintentionally until, again, you might realize you're in a place where I think the older we get, the more difficult it is to, reach fitness goals, to dating goals, career goals, whatever it might be. We have to be careful that we're realizing that time is sort of running out, and that we should use that as a positive sense of urgency to use better strategy to figure out how we're going to take the next few steps in our life, and not just keep letting it kind of, I think going with the flow is not something that's really good advice. Like, there's a place for that, but we have to have a very firm goal and understand what the vision is for the life that we want, and make a plan that's going to help us get there. And it's realizing that, yeah, it's going to be a struggle. It's not going to be happiness. It's not going to be motivation all the time. It's not going to be those motivational videos you see on YouTube where they're telling you have to want to breathe more than you want to succeed. Like, that's not how it works. Unfortunately, in the real world, that's just not how it works. But there's beauty in that. There's beauty in the struggle. It's an opportunity for you to have a goal and need to overcome challenges in order to complete them. And every time you overcome a challenge, every time that you overcome an obstacle, that gives you a positive rush. That gives you a positive feeling that's way deeper than just hearing some motivational video. And I actually think that the cure to problems like low self-worth or not loving yourself or not being proud of yourself actually comes from doing the difficult things and seeing the progress you're making as you start accomplishing them. So don't deny yourself the struggle. Don't wait for it to be easy. Look for opportunities to do things that are hard, because the harder the task is and the more important the goal, the more satisfaction you'll feel when you achieve them. Now, I think the third thing, the last thing here, is trying to shift our perspective of happiness, and one where we realize that happiness is a foundation and not a destination. And I think the only way to find true happiness with where you are in life right now, and first of all, that is the secret. If you're, Alex Hormozy said something really interesting, that goals are a contract you make with yourself to delay happiness until you achieve them. Yeah, of course we can be happy when we accomplish something, but if we're saying essentially that I won't be happy until I accomplish this, then you're just setting yourself up for sadness and misery and disappointment. And which is interesting, because it means that actually that we have control over those feelings. And so one of the most important pieces of advice that my dad ever gave me is learning how to be content and happy with exactly how things are right now. Not if you made little changes, not if you made big changes, but learning how to be content with exactly what you have right now. Because if you think about it, there's opportunities for gratitude all over the place. You're alive and you're healthy and you have a healthy mind and a healthy body that's at least capable of enjoying things and doing things that are purposeful or meaningful or whatever it is that you want to do. If you have a hobby, you like to play a sport, if you like to go out on the weekends, if you like to, live in a city where there's a lot of stuff going on, those are all privileges that we get to enjoy that we sort of take for granted. And one way of looking for gratitude is looking, what are the things that you enjoy on a daily basis, that you benefit from on a daily basis, that you don't really give any credit to, that you don't really recognize. And when you start making a list of those things, you realize that you're actually a very lucky, privileged person in the sense that you're exactly where you need to be able to have the resources and the people and the support and the education to basically accomplish anything that you can set your mind to. So being grateful for exactly where you're at doesn't mean that that's all there is to life and you're not going to continue to go forward. But I don't think you can use happiness as something you try to strive for until you reach something. I think happiness needs to be something you feel now, so it can be a foundation that you build higher levels of happiness on top of. Okay, so now if you've made it this far in the video, I'm going to give you 3 bonus tips for what you can do from here. And first of all, if you've made it this far, I super appreciate it. I'm obviously a very small and new channel, and I might have a small audience, but I have big ambitions. I have big dreams for the audience that I do want to create. So if you would like to be a part of it, if you'd like to work together on these goals of trying to, maybe we're starting over, or maybe we have big dreams that we're still trying to accomplish, but let's see if we can accomplish them together. And I'd love to have you part of this community, and subscribe and like this video if you get a chance. Okay, so here are my 3 suggestions that have been working for me lately. I've seen work for other people, and I know will work for you too. Number 1 is to identify exactly where you're feeling behind in your life right now. Is it your career? Is it relationships? Is it, bigger goals that you might have? Is it something creative? Is it just happiness in general? Try to laser focus on exactly what category it is of your life that you're feeling the most behind in, that maybe you're lacking the fulfillment and meaning you're looking for in that category of your life. Identify what that is. And I would say just pick one. There might be more than one, but pick the heaviest one right now as an opportunity to focus on, because the next step is then going to be to make that your sole focus in your life in this season. Make that the main thing that you focus on. Is say, if you feel behind in your career, okay, I'm going to start making all of my life decisions for the next year around how to improve my career. That might mean going back to school. That might be doing research, a bunch of YouTube videos at night. That might be, taking a different strategy with your boss, or starting a new business, or starting a content career. Whatever it is that it might be in your career, maybe it's relationships. And this is a difficult conflict for some people, because relationships and career can kind of be at odds with each other. But let's say maybe you feel the most behind in your dating life, and maybe that's the most important thing. You want to have a family someday. Then that should be your number one priority. Make decisions in your life around setting yourself up for success in that specific category. And the third thing I would say then is to, now that you've identified where you feel behind and identified what your vision is for that part of your life, is to make improvement on it every single day. If you can break down what your goal is, let's say where you want to be between now and a year from now, can you break that down into 1 month chunks of what do you have to do to get yourself to a place where you can achieve those things? Do you need like I said, do you need more education? Do you need to get back to the gym? Do you need to get yourself out around more people? Whatever it might be, if you can create a list of the things you need to do in order to accomplish that goal and put it into bite-sized chunks, then all of a sudden it becomes accomplishable. So we've identified what our goal is, we've identified what the challenge is, and we've identified the exact strategy to be able to overcome that challenge and achieve that goal. And what we talked about earlier, from feeling like you're powerless to powerful, this is the way you do that. Strategy is the difference between the powerless feeling of I don't know what to do, I don't know how to get there, and saying, actually, I do know what to do. I have a roadmap. I have the tools that I need to be able to get to where I need to get to. And that makes all the difference. Even if it's not complete, knowing that you have more tools than you had before, more support than you had before, and more of a vision that you had before can make all the difference just in how you feel, and that motivation we were talking about, that internal sense of motivation that comes from within. That's how you accomplish that. That's how you feel that. And the more progress you make and the harder you work in pursuit of that important goal to you, then the better you're going to feel along the way. And you're drastically increasing your chances of actually accomplishing the biggest things that you've wanted to accomplish your whole life. So the truth is, I don't know how all of this is going to pan out in my life and your life. I don't know. But what I do know is that I can't give up. And what I really, really wish is that, again, if you're watching this video, you're at a place where you're not going to give up either. Maybe you feel close. I've definitely felt close to that before. I'm going to make a separate video about that and my experience with kind of being at rock bottom. But wherever you are, if you're, maybe really close to your goals or really far away, just remember that your story isn't over yet. There's still many pages left to be written. And I think that if we are intentional about them and we use strategy and we have a good vision for where we want to go, the next chapters in our life can be some of our best. Starting over in your 30s doesn't make you a failure. It means that you are resilient. It means that you haven't given up. It means that you're still trying. I know I'm kind of starting over in my life, and maybe you are too. And if that's where we're at, hey, let's support each other in that process. Let's create a community of other people who are trying to get unstuck and trying to get to the lives that we deserve to live. And so if you're still here, I would really appreciate if you subscribe, give a like to this video, and maybe we can figure out this thing called life together.